Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hello my friends, welcome back to another recommendations video, and today is going to be one where it is time to swoon and then do a little bit of bitching at the end. Okay, that's what this video is going to be. So today the video I'm doing is actually sponsored by my channel members. Yes, channel members at the Book Refuge are who I call my OG supporters, because before I ever did this full time, I did start channel memberships, and I'm so thankful to every single one of you, some of you who have been around since literally day one, and all of those of you who've come in and out throughout the years. It just means so much to me. And channel members, they get to do things like this, pick a video to sponsor every month, one that will absolutely get made. They get early access to my videos. They get one-on-one, well, not one-on-one, but like one-on, just a few of us chat once a month, and as well as some other things. So definitely check that out if you're interested, along with my Patreon. It helps keep the channel going and helps make everything happen. And so the video today, as you can tell by the title, this is going to be little things that I love about romance and a few things that I hate. So I have made a pet peeve video before, as far as I can recall, and so I will link that one. And I actually don't remember if I've made one with like little things. That tends to be what a lot of my like oddly specific recs are, is when there are little things I find that I like, I make those videos, right? So actually for a couple of these ones, I have made videos for, but I had seen someone do this as like an Instagram post, and I was just trying to come up with some other video options to do, and I was like, you know what, I haven't done one of these in a while. So these are some too where I don't necessarily have enough recs to make a video for. Again, a couple of them I do, but a lot of them I don't, you know, and it's also hard to track it, right? That is the thing with little things that just make you a little bit extra giddy when they happen, but it's not a trope that necessarily gets tracked, right? Because I do have pretty extensive spreadsheets where I track things that happen to help me make as many trope videos as I have, right? That is just a part of the game for me. But there are sometimes these little things that you don't even think to hold on to it until you've already read it a few times, and then you can't remember where they happened, right? So some of these I don't necessarily have a recommendation for. I'm just telling you I like when I see them, and I would absolutely love if you put recommendations down below for it, you know? And some of the other ones, like I do have a few recommendations for some of these because I've read it recently, or it's one that just sticks in my head. We're changing up how the hair looks because it is super humid here right now. I don't know if where you live, if you've had storms lately, but my hair is just like, girl, I don't care what you want. We're going to be wild and crazy. So don't mind the little flyaways. I'm just going to try to ignore it, but it's tough for me sometimes, I'll tell you that. So anywho, I think I actually have like 11 or 12 of the things that I love, and then I have 6 things that I hate. So we're going to go through these, probably chat and gush about a few of them. A few of these too, the same book is going to show up over and over again because again, it's one I read most recently. And so I was like, oh, all of these things show up in this book. So anyway, you'll get it. And yeah, if there's one that you have recommendations for me or for the rest of the class, please feel free to share it down below. I really love for my videos to not only have the recommendations that I make, but also for there to be, you know, a wealth of recommendations in the comments for everyone too. That is kind of the purpose of my recommendation videos, right? So starting off is one that thankfully I do find a lot happen. This happens a lot. But I don't have specific recommendations for it. I'm just going to tell you that this one is more really like the opposite of a pet peeve when it happens, right? Because something that is a pet peeve of mine is when either character, but specifically the hero, but it is not just the hero, but specifically the hero, when they immediately only notice the sexual things about a woman, okay? We've talked about this ad nauseum, right? I don't like that. But what I do like is when he's obsessed with something other than her tits, okay? Like, I'm just going to say it, okay? the amount of times that a hero is like, oh, her tits were just, I wanted to squeeze. And I'm like, seriously? Like, comment on that later on. Like, when you first meet a person, yes, I will admit, even myself, I've noticed the breasts on a woman before something else, but I don't in my head start categorizing her that way, right? And we're reading romance. It should be for the female gaze in a lot of aspects, okay? It just should. It's just true. But when he's obsessed with something else, like her hair, or her smile, or her laugh, or just some totally little thing. Like, there's been one where he just really liked her eyes. Like, I mean, that's a pretty popular one too, because men are still very visual, and like, if those eyes just like pull you in, I just really love it. And again, I don't have a specific rec for this because thankfully I do find this a lot. You know, a lot of books that are my favorite ones have something like this. Like one that I just read, I just read Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan, and Maverick first notices just her smile and her energy, and when he first sees her, she's actually like dancing with people at this party, and not like dancing with a man. She's literally like leading a dance with people, and he's just like, how that chick, there's just all of this about her, right? And so it immediately makes me think softer of the hero, because when he appreciates a specific thing that is not a sexual body part, okay? Because you can make any body part sexual, okay? Like, you truly can. And so I don't have a problem with said body part turning him on. I just don't want to hear that he's turned on by it the second he sees it. Do you feel me? Do you get it? You know, so in that case, like, there's ones where they do like her smile or her lips, but he isn't immediately thinking, I can't wait to see those lips stretch around my dick. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That happens so often. It often happens in dark romance too, to show that like, oh, this is going to be sexual and because he's imagining throat fucking her. Like, that's the first thing he's thinking when he sees her. And I'm just like, there are other ways as an author that you can telegraph they're getting turned on by that thing without having to say it, right? Because we can imagine, okay? So again, my example is that if you still wanted him to notice her lips and possibly hint at how it could be sexual later on, you could word that as like, her lips look so pillowy and I wanted to feel them against me, or I wanted to brush up against them. Like, that is still conveying that without him straight up saying what he wants them to touch. You know what I mean? You know, kind of the absence of saying the thing could say it. But I even love it more when they notice her eyes or her hair and they just find themselves zoning out looking at it. Or they notice her neck. Like, oh, that's one I love, when they notice like how her neck looks, or just something like that, you know? And when they notice the body part, that the immediate thought isn't how they would sexually interact with that part, okay? Whether it's their throat or their lips, or, you know, oh, I want to see her makeup smudged around those eyes while I blah, blah. Like, don't make that comment the first thing, all right? So anyway, that one, as you can see, is the pet peeve, but like the opposite of it. They won't all be like that one. And again, I don't have specific recs for this. I meant to say this. See, I will get run off the track quite a few times with this, you can be sure. But an author I think does a really good job with this is Julia Wolf. I think she does this almost without fail. She does a great job of there being something about the heroine that the hero's attracted to that isn't just a sexual part of them, okay? Like, Julia Wolf's going to show up a few times in this video because I just love all the little details she puts into her book. So much so, she even has a book called In the Details, which, again, will show up in this video for sure. So there's just something special about that to me, and immediately has me more engaged in the couple when they're noticing other things about the person, right? And again, I want them to be sexually attracted. Oh boy, do I want that, okay? I still love those things. But sexual attraction is something that can be instant, and it can also build, you know? And the type of romance I'm looking for at these times of my life is notice some of the other things first, and let all of those things in totality lead up to you being extremely attracted to the person. Okay? All right. Okay, now we get to some that are a bit more specific, right? We have, I am obsessed in books with hair braiding, brushing, anything he wants to do with her hair. Okay? And I love it. Okay, I love it. And here's where we have our mention, as I said, of In the Details by Julia Wolf. This one I had full body chills because Jake is a dad of I think she's almost a teen. I think she's like 11 or 12. And he braids her hair for like her soccer games. And it's actually really cute because her stepdad like can't do it very well. And it's kind of cute because she's like, Dad, I need you to braid it. And he's like, okay. And there's also a scene where he braids not only his daughter's hair, but her daughter's hair, because Clara has a little girl, and then he braids Clara's hair. So he literally like braids all of their hair at the same, and it's so cute, you guys. Like, I died, okay? I died. Again, I've read a lot of hair braiding. Sometimes I've seen it really sexy and actually like a BDSM romance. There's one where he like braids her hair and she's like, wow, you're good at that. And he's like, he pulls on the braid and is like, yeah, it's because I like him. I think that happens in, does that happen in Sovereign? I think that happens in Sovereign, is he braids her hair before a scene, which that's hot too. And then another one that I just read, and again, this is one, this will show up multiple times in this video because there was so many great things in it. There was When We Break by Kristen Proby. This is one that, oh, again, I won't list all the things because we'll bring it up as we get to them. But there's a scene in here where it isn't hair braiding, it's the brushing. And he also does her hair, okay? So she's had a tough day. They take a shower together. There are some sexy things to do with it, but there's also one where he just wants to take care of her, okay? There is some caretaking included after like some sex scenes, but there's specifically one where like they shower and then he has her sit down and he literally brushes and blows out her hair for her. And he's done it before for his niece, but also like, of course he doesn't do it a professional, but he knows that she'll want dry hair before they go to bed. And so he has her sit down and listen to some music while he does her hair. Like, stop it, okay? Like, just lay me out flat, all right? Now, When We Break is book 2 in the, is it Blackburns or the, what is their name? I don't remember the family name, but you can read that one as a standalone if you'd like to, because it has some great things. Okay, now we have a darker one. We'll go with a dark, oddly specific one here that I love. And that is when a family member, usually a brother or a dad, wants to sell her to either pay a debt or just because he wants to get rid of her, I don't know, but usually to pay a debt. And instead of her being sold as a like slave or an object, the hero takes her as a wife instead, okay? Again, very specific. I know there are more of these that I've read, but the one that has this on my list specifically for it is Tempted by the Devil by Michelle Hurd, right? I bring this one up a lot. Her brother is trying to sell her virginity to this guy he owes money to. And when this mafia boss finds out that this slimy little weasel who owes him a debt is trying to sell him a woman, where he's like, fuck no. I don't need to buy a virgin, but B, who the fuck are you to offer someone to me like that, right? Ooh, there is another one I just thought of. I'll share it in just a minute. But instead, he marries her. Now, she doesn't really want to be getting married either, but see, the hero wants to take her out of her brother's control because he's like, if he doesn't sell that virginity to me, he's going to try to sell it to someone else. And I need a wife anyway, so I'll take her and make her mine. So instead of her being sold to him, he marries her and keeps her as his own. And now I just thought too, this also kind of happens in Roman. Now, in that one, so Roman by Melanie Moreland, it's a sister who tries to sell her sister off to Roman for a debt she owes. And when he won't accept it, because he's like, no, I'm not going to buy a person from you. The sister then goes and sells her to someone else. And Roman has a bad feeling about it when this woman brings him the money that she owes. And he's like, if she was willing to offer her sister to me, he just doesn't have a good feeling about it. And sure enough, when he looks into it, she sold her sister into sex trafficking. So in that case, it does lead to him marrying her to protect her. So that is also one where that happens. It isn't quite the same scenario there, but that's the thing with these like oddly specific or things that you like is like, it's more of the vibe or the elements around it that work. And that one's super unique too, because it's a sister who does it, right? Like, I don't know, you would just think that a sister would understand that, like, what you're, anyway, horrible. So anyway, that's a very specific one. When a family member wants to sell her and he makes her his wife. So I'm going to actually put a mark in that because Roman by Melanie Moreland does that too. Love it. Okay, next up. And this is one I absolutely adore. Okay, I absolutely adore this. And thankfully, I've seen it quite often recently. So I actually have 3 whole recs for this one, which means eventually I should be able to make a full video on this one. I think I probably could get there. So this one is when they're a supportive ex/parenting partner. Okay, now specifically for this one, it is like co-parents who aren't together and there's no still lingering feelings. And not only are they supportive of like their ex, but they're supportive to the new partner, right? Either because they're already married to someone new or because they're friends with the person they had a kid with and they aren't jealous and they aren't trying to cause problems. They are supportive, okay? That is always like the greenest of green flags because that's how it should be. Of course, it's not always going to be that, but when we're able to do it for not only our kid, but because this is a person you had a baby with. And if it wasn't accidental, which those are cases in here too, but if it wasn't accidental, you were purposely with the person and cared about them, you know, can you get along for your kids? Again, I know that's not always possible, but here are 3 recommendations from me where they're supportive. And in fact, maybe even that ex at some point helps them in their new relationship, which we love. So again, bringing up in the details, Jake and his ex, which I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but they, I believe, had like an accidental pregnancy as like teens, right? Because he has again, I think she's like 12 years old. And they had an accidental pregnancy as young people and they were like, we are not going to get married. We will ruin each other's lives if we do that. Let's just be teammates. And that's great, you know? And his ex, again, actually becomes friends with Clara and it's just really sweet. And there's actually a really funny scene where Jake and her have slept over at his house and the ex shows up with the daughter to drop her off with Jake. And she's like, Jake, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, well, I didn't think you were just going to show up this morning. And she's like, sorry. So it's actually like a cute moment, even though it's awkward as hell for Clara because she doesn't understand the lay of the land, you know? There is Secret Love by Willow Astor. This one's really cute. This is a dad of actually 3 girls. And him and his ex were married for a good while, but he's a professional football player and things were really hard on their relationship. But they actually live like really close to each other so that the girls can go from either house that they want to. She is in a new relationship and wants the best for him. This is actually one where he falls for his daughter's teacher. It's a substitute teacher, like a long-term sub. And he's also like much older than her too. And yeah, it's just kind of a forbidden one there. That's why this one's Secret Love. But I adore how the ex is with him and really cares about him because they just didn't work out. She didn't want to be the, you know, second to football, but he's so good with his kids and he tries his very, very best. And she does like work with him, like when he has to travel and doesn't make him feel guilty about that. And like, you know, there's that. And then we also have Forbidden Hearts by Corinne Michaels. And I really love this couple. And I like that, you know, she still like is a bit protective of, you know, of course she's protective of her daughter, but she's a little suspicious of the woman at first, but very quickly is like, you're great. You're doing great with my kid and I trust you with her. Because in this one, the ex of Asher, she is actually like she is a filmmaker, I believe. And so she's going to be making a movie for a while in another country. And so he will have his daughter full time. His daughter is deaf. And the nanny he was supposed to be getting, because he is a is he a captain or, I know he's the head of a SWAT team, which means like he needs to be able to leave immediately. So he needs a nanny who's available. And he wants his daughter to have a nanny who speaks sign language, or I mean, sign language. You can communicate with sign language so that his daughter doesn't have to do the extra work, right? And the only one who ends up being available to do that when the nanny has to cancel is a girl who is 14 years younger than him and is his boss's daughter. And she used to be quite a bit of a hot mess, so he's a bit nervous about having her babysit his daughter. But she is going to school to be a speech therapist, and she is pretty fluent in sign language. So she is the best option for his daughter. And again, his ex is, you know, that's the thing too. The ex isn't in here a ton because she's gone, right? But she is still like supportive and they get along and are really trying to do what's best for their kid. And that just gives me the warm and fuzzies because we should do our best for our kids, right? Okay. So I love that when there's a supportive ex, who doesn't make things more difficult, right? Okay, then this is a cute one. So when they read romance together, they read a romance book together. Maybe they're in a book club together. Maybe he first discovers what she's reading and wants to read what she's reading. And maybe it leads to some sexy things between them because they do or whatever. But I love a hero who reads romance. Now, this is another one where I'm going to bring up When We Break again. And as I shared when I reviewed this one just came out recently. The heroine is actually in a book club with his sister and some of the gals in town. And they're actually reading Nero by S.J. Tilley. Or maybe they're reading Dom by S.J. Tilley. Yeah, they're reading Dom by S.J. Tilley. And it's cute because Kristen Proby and S.J. Tilley, they're like friends and everything. So they're reading each other's books in there. That happens a lot of times in romance novels because let's be honest too. One of the very popular tropes in specifically small town romance is for there to be a bookstore in town and there to be books of authors we know in there, which is perfectly fine. Sometimes it can throw me out a little bit, but usually it's just cute. Or maybe they'll only kind of like reference the books, like without saying who's the author. So that can be really fun too, because it's a bit like a tease it. But anywho, this one's cute because it starts out as like, the hero like reads the book to her sometimes and then he gets really into it. So he ends up buying the book and ends up like finishing it before she does. And so he's like about to talk about it and she's like, whoa, I'm not there yet. You'll have to wait until I have time to read it. And then they do get inspired by some of the stuff in there too, which is cute. So I really enjoyed that one. It was fun. And then another one, and this one I like even more because we have in this one Ryder and Kira, and in this one he's already in a book club, so like he's reading it himself. It isn't he starts reading it because of her. He's literally in a book club with some like single moms because he's a single dad in the beginning of this, and he like wants to be involved with other single parents, and there's people reading romance. It might not just be single parents, but like with parents and stuff. And so he's actually reading, and they end up like he reads it to her in there. But I like it in this one because it's his book. So love that. So again, that shows up in a few, but that is one that I always like when the hero likes reading it, and not just because he's like, ooh, what sexy stuff do you like? Like, of course I love when that comes up in a book because we all know a little bit of that when we listen to a sexy scene in a book and we're just kind of like, and to have your partner reading that to you, that could be. All right. Then this one is just kind of sweet. It's another one that's can be a bit more heartbreaking sometimes because it's usually happening after something traumatic, but it doesn't have to be. But it's when they shower and it doesn't lead to sex. Like, not just showering in the morning, like it's a form of caretaking where something's happened usually, and to take care of her, he showers her and is very like, doesn't matter if he's getting turned on because he can totally get turned on when it happens, but it's very much like, I'm taking care of you. And when they like shower her and then, you know, he dries her off and tucks her into bed type of thing. And I just read this in Finn by Melanie Moreland. And again, it is after a traumatic thing. He literally goes in like with his clothes on to shower her type of thing so that she feels safe. And of course she's feeling safe about him, but he's just like, I don't want her to have to see a dick or see anything like at this moment. It was very beautiful. And then also in Fractured Souls, again, another one after trauma. This one involves Asya, who actually escapes something really horrible, and she's afraid to go back home. She feels very broken and kind of destroyed by what she lived through. And so she isn't sure that she wants to go back home again. And she is put into Pavel's hands, and he wants to take care of her and help her to heal. So there's some caretaking showers in that one. Okay, then we have an absolutely just fun one. And this one's definitely a bit oddly specific here, but I think I have the artwork for every one of these. I do. So this is when the hero wears glasses and at some point has to take them off for some sexy time, okay? But in general, just heroes with glasses. So just 3 quick ones I'll share here with you. We have Brooklyn Air by Serena Bowen. There's actually a new cover out for this one that looks super hot. I don't need to get it, but yeah, this one is an office romance, an assistant, and the billionaire boss here. It's also connected to a hockey series as well, but we have Brooklyn Air. There is If You Give a Single Dad a Nanny, which has our hero in here is Dylan, I think. Yeah. So there's a cute picture. He has glasses. Love it. So cute. Love me some glasses on a hero. And then here's a hot one too. We have Caught Up. And this one's also a single dad. And oh, I'm so excited for the next book in the series comes out just this next week. I can't wait. By the way, just a little thing to pop up. If you would like to, complete your set of books that have the hero covers that have these, because all of these books will be going out of print eventually because they're getting their new covers coming. You can get the cover with Rio on it on her website. I've actually pre-ordered it. I hope it's coming. But you do need to go to her website if you want to get this one, because though these ones were available on Amazon at the time, she's now with a publisher, and so she has to sell that one on her website. But anywho, this one has a hero with glasses as well. There's also a sexy single dad and a baseball player. Okay, now we have one that I just like when this shows up, okay? I just like when this shows up. And that is a good old frottage scene, okay? Now, if you don't know what that is basically humping through your clothes, grinding, and getting off with your clothes on still, okay? And whether that is like accidentally the hero does that or purposely they do it together, I love it. Okay, I do. And I have 3 specific scenes for this. So one, which I think is, oh man, this one lives rent-free in my brain. It's so hot. And that is in Lothair by Cressy Cole. And there's a scene in here where, oh man, the dynamics in this book, too complicated to explain easily. But Elizabeth is being held captive by Lothair because he believes that his bride, which is a fated mate for a vampire, is possessing Elizabeth's body. And Elizabeth is trying to use whatever sexual wiles that she has, whatever sexual currency that she has with this evil monster as she sees him. And he is attracted to her, okay? And he doesn't want, well, he does, but he doesn't want to have sex with her when she's a human because he's afraid he'll break her. So she is trying to show how she can take care of him in other ways. And she literally is like, I'm going to make you cream your jeans. She says that to him. And he's like, there will be none of that. And she's like, do you want to bet? And he's like, okay, go for it. And she literally rides him through his jeans until he creams his jeans. Okay, this hundreds of years old vampire, she makes him do that. And it is hot, you guys, okay? Like, it's so hot. I can't handle it, okay? There's no other way to say it. It just is, all right? Okay. All right, then there's one that I haven't read this one in a while, but I did remember it when I was looking up, and that is actually Against the Wall by Kate C. Wells. Now, this one has like a couple interesting things in it because this also has the hero quick off the mark where they're going to like have sex and he comes before he takes care of her, and it's like, I think she reacts wrong in the moment because it's like, you should take this as a like, he's not doing it to like get off and like get out. He literally is like embarrassed, but also like so turned on. He can't help himself. I'm sorry, like, girl, that's a compliment. He should stick around and take care of you, but like, it's a compliment in some ways. But there is a scene also where they're like against the wall and they're in the car. They're in his truck or whatever. And he like has her like ride him until they both come. And with their clothes on. So that one's hot. And then one that I just read, that just came out, you guys, and I'll be talking about it until you're absolutely sick of it, okay? Haven't even fully reviewed it on the channel yet. It will go up on Sunday, will be my review of this. But Hold the Line by Julia Wolf has a scene on her couch, or his couch, I don't know whose couch it was, where they literally just grind it out on the couch like they're teenagers. It was so hot because she's the one being like, just let go, like, just do it. Like, it's not that she's like the dominant in it. She's just like giving him permission. Like, this is hot to me. Like, just do it. Like, it's so sexy that they do that. Like, I just loved it. Okay, and then the last one where I'm going to say a good one, and this is one that I don't have recommendations. This is just a thing that I don't see it happen too often. It usually is the opposite, which is a pet peeve. But something that when I hear it, when I read it, I immediately am like, you found the one, okay? And that is when they overhear something good that the person is saying about them, and they don't know that they can hear them. Whether they're talking to maybe their parent or they're talking to an ex where they're chewing them out of like, you lost the best thing you're ever going to have or whatever. But yeah, when they overhear them say something good about them. Not when it is the opposite, which is my pet peeve, where they overhear something bad or they overhear just part of a conversation or they overhear whatever. When they overhear something good. And they either completely pretend they didn't hear it and just know inside, or later on bring it up and is like, you did, like, I love you, right? So again, I don't have specific recs of this for you, but I have read it before, and I think it happens so not enough because it's always something bad, right? We always use the overhearing to push us into the miscommunication trope in the third act, or the person hangs up. They overhear something and they hang up too soon. But when they overhear something good and you're just like, that person didn't know you were listening and they are just talking you up to someone, is the best feeling out there, you know? Okay, so those were some things that I love that are either oddly specific or little. So now I have, which ended up being it ended up being 6 little things that are pet peeves, right? Again, I'm not going to do the full, but I am going to rant about a couple of these quick, just to round us off with some spicy ones. But again, I think I have made a full video with pet peeves. I just wanted to balance it out so that I can call this things I love and a few things I hate, but just a few that have popped into my head, okay? Number 1 here, these aren't in order, but I mean, he thrusts in and discovers she's a virgin. Okay, there are 2 reasons I don't like this. 1, it's okay if she decides she didn't want to tell him that. Like, that's her prerogative. I've read definitely a few where she's like, does it matter? I wanted to have sex. It doesn't matter. And he's like, okay, well, I would have been more careful. Like, you know, maybe always be careful. Make sure she's ready, no matter whether it's the first time or the 50th. But number 2, they cannot always tell, okay? Like, very, very rarely have I read one where she's a virgin and like he doesn't notice. Oh, I love when that happens because it's like, yeah, you don't always know, okay? Yes, a hymen exists, but it can look different on every single person. The type of hymen that you have, what part it's covering, what's happening, like it's different on everybody. And also, like, I just hate that trope when it shows up of like, now that I realize you're a virgin, I would have been so much more careful. I would have been so much more this or whatever. And I'm like, ugh. Like, there's some books specifically, again, where like he thinks she's a slut and then finds out she's a virgin. And now it's like it changes everything he would think about her when he knows that. Like, there's specifically a Mafia one I'm thinking of with that, where he's sure she's just been with a whole bunch of people. And it was just because she was a sexual person without having had a bunch of sex. And so he just goes shoving in there and he's like, oh my God, you're a virgin? I never would have guessed. And I'm like, whatever. So anyway, pet peeve, right? When it's a surprise virgin and then it just like changes everything about it, right? Like, ugh. Or it's like, show him you thought such horrible things about her, but actually she's pure and you didn't. Like, no, get rid of that garbage. Okay, on another side of that, you will notice a few of these have to do with sex, because there are just certain things that pet peeve me as a romance reader. When they tease a sex act, okay, this one's on my horny side. I have one that's for my not horny side, but for my horny side, okay? When they tease us with a sex act, like anal or using toys, pegging, or just anything that they either mention that they've done off screen, or you tease us with it and never try it. And then it's either saved for the epilogue, like it's like, ooh, or it's saved for like the bonus scene. Now, the two reasons authors can do that, right? Like, I think of specifically, there's one back in the day that just infuriated me, honestly, and that was in an Olivia Dade. Maybe you guys remember this. I think it was in book 2 of Olivia Dade's like kind of like Hollywood series she was writing. It had plus size heroines, and it was literally talked about that the hero wants to be pegged. And because, in my opinion, that was a traditionally published book at that time, that was saved for a bonus scene that like you could only get if you like pre-order or whatever. And right, I understand authors need bonus content in a lot of aspects, right? Again, I'm a PA for an author. I'm someone who like, I'm encouraging my author to write more bonus stuff so we can have some of those hooks to use for marketing. But still, like, when there's things that are teased throughout the whole book, like, ooh, I'd really like to, let me do this to you, or let me do this, and they show interest and then it's just like never done, or it references like, oh, we tried this and it was fantastic. I just get irritated. Okay, I just do. Because for me, I'm like, there's two things here. Either like, A, you just want to act like your book is spicier than it is by talking about those things, but you don't want to write it. Or B, like, you just are like teasing people to tease them, right? Like, I don't know. I don't really care for either one. Like, if it's built into your characters that they would enjoy that stuff, like if you've written it into them that they would like it, then do it. Like, give it to us. Show me that this character likes it. But to tease it and then, again, either A, put it in the epilogue of the story or the, like, bonus content, I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't. And it's my pet peeve. I can have what I want, okay? If you don't think your character should do those things, because you're like, oh, if I put it in the book, someone might not like it. There are plenty of things everyone's going to like. You know, and specifically sex scenes, if there's a thing people aren't liking, they can just skip it. I know plenty of you guys do that. I do that these days. If I'm like not feeling it, I skip on by and I make a note of like, I don't feel great about this being in there. You know what I mean? So I just, don't tease me with those things if you're not going to put them in there. You know, just don't write them. You know, if you don't have the guts to put it on the page or you don't think it works, then don't act like your characters would like it then. I don't like it. Okay, now here is the one for my opposite side here where it's like sex in places that no one should be doing it, okay? And these ones I'm specifically thinking of places where people do like public things of like at a dinner table, like fucking someone at the table, right? And I don't even mean like, let's say they put a toy in beforehand, okay? To me, those are sometimes fun, okay? Where someone else has a remote and they're doing something. But when he legit like has his hand up her pussy at the table in front of people who aren't consenting to be there for your sex stuff, no. Again, too old for that shit. I don't want to read that now. Like, again, if we're at a sex club or we're at a place where people are cool if there's stuff in front of each other, fine. People forget that consent is for the people there too, right? That's why you shouldn't do, I mean, for sure the BDSM community knows this, but for other people too, like, the other people there need to consent to this as well. And us, like, not knowing, but maybe guessing that you're, like, fucking the person under the table, like, I'm sorry, I don't think that's hot anymore. Again, like, there was a time where I thought that was sexy, and now I'm just like, you're making everyone witness that? Because, like, there's no way when you say, like, oh, I pinched her so she doesn't moan. Like, you're at a table with 5 people. Someone notices, and you're making them uncomfortable. Stop doing it, okay? Also, I put in front of people, in restaurants, in places in the office that don't lock, okay? Exclusion is, if their office locks and you can have it in there, fine. If he's the boss, he's the billionaire, it's fine. But in, like, closets at work, in bathrooms at work, in bathrooms, one that just grosses me out anyway, okay? I'm so over that part of my life. Like, if we can't lock the door, I don't want to read it, okay? Like, just I don't want it, okay? It's a pet peeve these days. I don't like it. I get, like, voyeurism kink, or, like, we might get caught. Like, those are hot. But there are places you can do that where it's not actually, like, affecting other people's lives, right? Like, I just don't. It's a pet peeve, okay? Other people can like it. This is not to shame anyone who likes any of the things I'm talking about, okay? This is my pet peeve list. Okay, another one. The overuse of pet names, okay? I won't even get into the list of pet names that I hate because I was trying to keep the complainy part of the video shorter, so we'll keep moving. But the overuse of pet names, I just get tired of it. I don't mind pet names. I think they're sweet. I actually like really simple names. Again, bringing up Hold the Line. He calls her his angel girl and she calls him honey. Like, she calls him honey. And I love that because I'm just saying, I call a lot of people honey. So I actually like that. Like, I call a lot of my guy friends honey. It's just something I've always done, like, because I like giving pet names. But again, they're ones that are earned. Like, I don't just call someone I just met or just getting to know, like, baby, honey, sweetheart. I don't do that. But I do love pet names. So that's why I'm saying, like, the overuse of them, or they haven't been earned, right? Like, I've talked about this before. One of my favorite things is the first time, like, baby gets said. Noelle Adams is really good at this, you guys. Okay, she's so good at this. It's usually the first time they kiss or the first time they're having sex and he just, like, slips out a baby because he can't help, like, oh, I love that. Noelle does this in a lot of books, and I love it. But I like baby, and I like when we don't, like, overuse those things, okay? All right, just 2 more here. When they're out on a date or at an event, and they're sitting at a table and they're clearly together, okay? Whether they're, like, together on a date or they're there for something else, whatever, but they're clearly there together for whatever reason, and the server hits on him in front of her, okay? I feel like this is used often to show that he, like, is really into her. It's used with, like, billionaires and athletes and actors where, like, the person just ignores them. Because here's the thing. Even if this is your sister, let's say you're out to eat with your sister, okay? Who the fuck are you to start hitting on them while they're there with their sister or their friend, right? And again, it's often used in romance to show that, ooh, everybody wants him, but, like, he wants her. This plain Jane he's sitting across from that this woman thinks isn't pretty enough to have him, then I'm going to flirt with him and he's going to accept my number when he's here. Like, I don't know why authors use that. Like, I don't know why they do. It's just icky. It's just icky, right? Like, I think there can be one thing where, let's maybe say that waitress is a little bit, like, shell-shocked by how good looking he is. Okay. And maybe stutters a bit or something, or is getting flushed. And the girl can maybe say, like, oh, see, she's into you. And he's like, I'm not looking at her. I'm looking at you. Fine. But to make that server person act that way and just be a total biatch, because again, even if it wasn't your date, which again, you don't know. And I know the point, again, that the author's trying to do is to show that, like, oh, she's so plain Janey that anyone seeing them together won't think they're together. Like, ew. Fucking ew. And I guess this offends me too because, like, I don't know. I have some people in my life that are not conventionally pretty. I love them with my whole heart. And their partners may be more attractive than them conventionally. Who cares? He sees her as his goddess and the most beautiful thing in his life. And for you to try to hit on him in front of her is just so gross. Like, ew. And it makes that thing of like, don't be such a hoe. Like, don't be such a hoe like that. Anyway, and I think you'll learn that, like, this is where I'm going to actually with my final pet peeve of this video, is when every single female character besides the heroine is either evil, stupid, or oblivious, okay? When there is, like, no one that she can connect with, maybe even her friends are stupid, right? Like, again, that isn't in every book. And I think a lot of authors lately are good at giving girls, like, a girl gang, you know? Like, again, Julia Wolf does this really well. Corinne Michaels does this. Krista Proby does this. Like, they have a girl gang, so there are girls that they can connect with. Usually the other heroines of other books, so the author doesn't write them as dumb because they're going to have their own book, right? But it just is that thing of, like, if you guys know what the Bechdel test is, that's like, can women in any type of entertainment have a conversation that isn't about men, right? And if you have every woman in the story, again, a lot of times written by women who can't write women talking about anything but the man, that doesn't pass the Bechdel test. And I think people forget that. That was actually written, or that was actually like created about like comic books back in the day, is does this pass the Bechdel test, you know? And again, it's not that the woman can never be the antagonist or there can't ever be other woman drama, okay? There are some where those are good. But in general, I think it's a weak way to do a story and to try to show that the hero is into the woman just by making all other women incompetent. His assistant, his girlfriends, his exes, like to make them all bitches to make the heroine look better, I just think is a bad look, right? Because if the only reason he's with her is because every other woman is a bitch, is she really that great? Or is everyone else just awful, right? But when you have a book where like all the women are amazing, you know, and also I stand by this too. I always come back around to this, right? If he was with someone who was such a bitch and it was just so awful, what type of guy is he, right? I think we forget that a lot when we make other woman drama, is it's like, so every man has only ever dated bitches until he finds the one of his dreams. Like, that is just so degrading to women that it would be like her fault that he didn't stay with her, right? That's what it turns into. That's what it turns into, is that the woman he finally finds is the perfect one and all other women were just awful. No, all other women weren't right for him. It doesn't mean that they were bitches and hoes or sluts or cheating or whatever, right? And yeah, again, to round this out, that doesn't mean there can't ever be a story that does that. There are plenty that I love that do it. But it's a pet peeve because more often than not, it's done poorly to me with those ones. Okay? All right. That is going to round it out, okay? Thank you for being here, for me basically just gushing and bitching at you for almost an hour. Thank you so much to my channel members who supported this video and sponsored it. I was actually really surprised that this is the one they picked because I just threw it out there as a video idea, you know, again, because I saw an Instagram post that had it. So thank you so much to my channel members. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do that as simply as just giving this video a like. You can share it with someone else who maybe you're like, oh my God, that thing she just talked about, me and my friend were talking about it. Send this over to them. Maybe they need to be introduced to the Book Refuge, right? And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.